It was a mixed bag of fun, anxiety, highlights, weaknesses, all sorts of weird emotions last night. Jazz, Warriors, were breaking it down next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 pow.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke. This is Locked On Jazz. On today's show, late game watch of Denver and Oklahoma City. Steve Kerr says less games is the answer for the NBA. I've got a wild little idea that I want to throw your direction on what we could do about the NBA. Guys making plays last night. Guys tripping over their feet last night. Blake Hinson, a hero. We're talking about all of it on today's edition of Locked On Jazz. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wow, this is as weird and strange and bizarre a season. This one could have the Grateful Dead. What a strange trip it has been as our moniker for the whole season. By the way, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's giving you a way to turn the energy into even bigger potential wins with a college football parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. So last night's game, very limited on both sides. Great opportunity for everyone to get involved and try to have their say and prove their value, though not up against kind of mainline NBA players. And then obviously, we have a top 8 protected pick, and there's an entire aspect of this where whether you're rooting for your team to win or lose is a bizarre circumstance. And then you have Blake Hinson hit this game winner against the team in which he was on, their G League team, who decided not to ever sign him to a two-way deal, despite his great shooting, who he's practiced against, done a bunch of things with. And, after the game, he's as delightful as they come, talking about, I like this job and I'm just trying to keep this job. And gets to do podium afterwards. And it's this kind of human story that's incredibly warming and kind of fires you up. And then at the same time, as a Jazz fan, you walk out of the arena wondering, like, wait, did we really want to win this game? Do we really want to win any games the rest of the way? This is so bizarre. So the whole night kind of fits that. I don't want to duck away from the anxiety that the diehard Jazz fan has, who understands a top 8 protected pick and the value of that pick, and the fact that Dallas may not win more than 3 games the rest of the year, and that New Orleans is sitting right there. And yeah, it's there. I don't have an answer for this. I'm not going to duck it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it doesn't exist. Frankly, the Jazz aren't pretending it doesn't exist. We're still hamstrung by a deal to get off a Derek Favors contract on a Derek Favors contract that never really became value. I mean, it's kind of crazy how one decision has this many years of lingering after effect, and thank God it will be done with here in we should literally have like a freed from the deal day, but I don't know when that is. Like, I think we're going to have anxiety till May 10th when the lottery happens. We're going to do all sorts of draft breakdown between April 15th and May 10th. And then on May 10th, if things go wrong, gosh forbid, we don't have a pick. But let's get to the game, because that is what we do, why we play, what we're watching. And yes, it's weird. So I'm not going to hide that. It's weird. I thought it was a really interesting night. Let's start with the Blake Hinson 3. It's just really feel good, right? Like there is an element of all of this to me. I talk about this a lot, that I feel like what we're all in for is this 9-month sitcom or drama that we dive in I guess depending which way you look at it, like maybe our year starts on July 1st and then it goes on a sabbatical, but let's go with the other way, that the season starts in October and you have these 82 episodes. It's kind of, I open the show a lot of times at the broadcast time at episode number 60, whatever. And you have these 82 episodes to watch, whatever your other show is, whether it's, The Bear, whether it's, Breaking Bad many years ago, whether it's whatever Sal, whether it's Heated Rivalry, whatever hot show that's out there right now. I'm guessing we don't have huge Heated Rivalry crossover, maybe. So you have this sitcom or drama, and it's about stories, and you never know who the characters can be. We have a new character. His name's Blake Hinson. And it's a really great story. Like, here's this kid who went in his post-game interview, talked about going to the G League and it being the most important thing. From what I understand, he's in way better physical shape than he's ever been in his life. And he's got himself with his body. He does not have a lot of lateral quickness. He's long and great shooter. And everything about him says NBA, other than probably lack of athleticism, lateral athleticism. And he's making his way and makes a big shot. And, like post-game interview with him, he says to me, well, we were going 2 for 1 and I wanted the shot. And when you watch that replay, he wanted the shot. It's pretty awesome. Let's walk through some other things. So that's great. Like in the realm of an episode of a sitcom, of a drama or whatever we're watching every night. At times it's a sitcom this year. This was a pretty good episode because we got a hero that was unlikely, that makes you feel good and gives you a little inspiration. The other part of the night that's interesting is just the role we put guys in. So late in the game, Will turns it over to Cody and Flip to try to make plays and carry the team. And it's a big ask. In fact, if we're just going to be honest, it's too big an ask. And that's kind of what happened. It was really interesting. So with about 5 minutes left, the Jazz closed the game with Harkless, no Keontae. So they closed with Harkless. Sensabaugh goes out at the 4:48 mark. So it's Harkless, Konchar, Hinson, Filipowski, and Cody Williams. And Kyle comes in, and we let Kyle kind of run the point, and he promptly turns the ball over at the 4:20 mark and the 3:54 mark. Yeah, like Kyle Filipowski probably shouldn't be running point to close ball games. It's a big ask. But let's see what he can do. Then Konchar hits Cody on a nice curling dunk on a nice off-ball set play, and then the next possession down, the Jazz hit Blake Hinson for a 3, and they're back up 11, and then Filipowski gets a rebound and flipping around the backside. Brandon Podziemski knocks it away. Then Jazz run an offensive set. Cody tries to initiate, and Cody ends up driving and losing the ball on a dribble out of bounds for his 5th turnover of the night, or 6th turnover of the night, 5th or 6th turnover of the night. Kyle goes to the free throw line, busts 2 free throws. He's now 85% for like the last 14 games. Harkless tries to make a play, drives the lane, dribbles off, I think, his leg, out of bounds, turnover. We're just asking a lot out of these guys. Jazz swing it around. Cody gets an open 3, can't bury it, not his game. But then with 30 seconds left, it's Blake Hinson who buries it. And we're just, it's a big ask on a lot of these guys right now on what we're trying to get them to do. Kyle has really narrowed in impressively for most of the night, on what he can do against smaller bigs. He has really turned the corner in playing smaller bigs. Guy Santos, last night, Quentin Post is very similar to Kyle. He doesn't have any post presence. And Kyle's overpowering them, dominating them inside, making a bunch of plays. Looks great. I asked Will Hardy before the game about Kyle's ability to make plays with the ball. Will Hardy tried to roll it out there and see what would happen late in the game. And it was not a good answer. Not a surprise. Cody's handle's a little weak. Gave him some opportunities. Not a great answer. But throughout the night, we also have Cody Williams playing 43 minutes and busting out a career-high 7 assists. And we have Kyle Filipowski playing guys that are not as good as him and owning it. And it was kind of great. Like, really impressed by these guys making plays. Oscar Tshiebwe, 3 minutes and 44 seconds of the fourth quarter, might have won the ballgame last night. He had 8 points. He had 5 rebounds in the quarter all by himself. And was +4 in those 3:44, dominating the glass with 2 offensive rebounds. And Cody had 3 assists in the fourth quarter last night. And Blake Hinson had 9 points. Really cool to see. I thought Elijah Harkless last night played much more free, longer stretches, played more like he did in the G League, was aggressive, making plays. Now, that's not a role he's going to have as an NBA player. But as Will Hardy said, like, the 3 two-way guys, you know exactly what you're getting out of them when they take the floor. In Shibwe, Harkless, and Hinson, you know exactly. You're getting relentless energy from Harkless. You're getting rebounding down low from Shibwe, and you're getting shooting from Hinson. And they're staying in their lane, and they're staying narrow focused with what they do, and it's pretty cool to watch them get it done. So as regard to the anxiety that we all have, yeah, it's real. And it's only going to get worse because there are just a lot of games left on the schedule that the Jazz could win. And wins feel weird right now. But in regards to the individual episode, pretty fun little night. And really a learning night. Cody and Kyle are learning what they have to do if they're going to make plays and be in big-time moments in the NBA. Steve Kerr, I asked him if he was commissioner, he would shorten the amount of games in the NBA. There's a problem with that, and I have an answer. I want your thoughts on it next on Locked on Jazz. Tuesday edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. The Murdochs been in Utah for over 90 years and want to make sure that you have the no regrets experience as a customer. The Hyundai lineup of cars, outstanding. The Palisade. My son still has his original Santa Fe. We've had no problems with it for, let's see, he probably got it when he was 16. He's 23, so he's on his 8th year with this car. It's been great. My daughter's driving her Santa Fe still. That one's great. Finished up the lease payoff on that one, and just going to keep holding on to it. They've been great. You can have the same experience. The new Palisade calligraphy is amazing. The Santa Fe hybrid. The Tucsons are flying off the shelves right now. You can do all of that at Murdoch Hyundai, and I want you to do it by email. Send me an email at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com, and then we can set you up with the VIP meeting over at Murdoch Hyundai that you deserve. That's dlock09@gmail.com, and have you get the VIP experience you deserve over at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. There's no action energy like the arena and all the environment around there. I know that Brock brought his family last night, one of our broadcast assistants, and I think they probably had a blast last night. Super fun night in the arena last night. Game Time. It's nothing like the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets often has been difficult. Well, it's not anymore. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. Puts the advantage back to where it belongs with the fans. Pull up the Game Time app, pick a game, have the tickets locked in minutes. Love, if you're going to the NCAA tournament games, do it through Game Time. Love seeing the all-in pricing up front. No surprise fees at checkout. Being able to see the view from the seat before buying made decisions easy. Zone deals stood out. Choose a section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Great last-minute options as well. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free. It's all done within a minute. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Remember, it's GameTime.co, not GameTime.com. That's GameTime.co, not GameTime.com. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen, and thank you to the everydayers out there. If you want to join our all-access everydayer club, you get one-on-one texting with me. You get Leaf to Lean's bonus episodes in your feed. You get ad-free Locked on Jazz every day. You get a newsletter sent to you after every game. You'll get Empty the Noggin next year. Whenever there's a trade rumor out there, we'll be discussing it. And whether there's a free agency rumor, draft news, we'll all be throwing it out there discussing. You also get access to the exclusive Discord channel. It's all for $15 a month at the all-access plan. Plus, use the code JJJ, get 1 month off. If you buy annually, you get 2 months off. It's at lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. All right. So I asked Steve Kerr if he was commissioner what he would do. And I think Steve Kerr addressed to me what the biggest problem in the NBA is, and that is the amount of games being missed by players. And I think the biggest problem in the game is that we're breaking the players. And Steve and I talked about this afterwards. We all agreed. There's so many possessions, so many closeouts, so many rotations. It's just a totally different game than the game that was played before. And the players are getting hurt. So I think there's a bunch of different things to it. And as I said, I think Adam Silver needs to get radical. He needs to call the people into New York. I think they need to literally we literally did an exercise at Lockdown recently where we pretended everyone's fired, no one had any connection to anything we were doing, and rebuild it. What would we do? I think that's what the NBA needs to do. I'll throw an idea out. So there's two things here about the limited games. I've never been a proponent of this, but I'm working my way toward it. I'm not a proponent of it, for one, because it changes all the record books, but I think we have to be radical and change whatever's going on. I'm not a proponent also because I'm not entirely sure that there's data that shows that more games are leading to more injuries. I would just say we have more injuries. And so I'm not entirely sure if we cut to 65 or 70 games that we still don't have the same injuries, that the game itself just might be putting the burden on. But I'm going to buy into it for my proposal. There is a little thing that I think most of the leases in the NBA are signed. They're supposed to have 43 games a year. So trying to get all the leases redone would be pretty darn complicated for the NBA. How about this idea? It would be very difficult to schedule. I'd be curious to talk to Evan or Tom Corelli or some of these guys whether you could schedule it. But if you go to a Broadway play in New York City, there are nights in which if you're going to a Wednesday matinee or even a Wednesday or like a Tuesday night, that you very well may get the understudy. It's kind of a bummer. You walk in, you paid full price for the tickets, and you find out that these three roles are being played by the understudy. But by the end of the night, you still have a great time. If the play is good, it's still great. You still enjoy it. You pay your money. It's totally worth it. I propose that the NBA has understudy nights. If you look at the NBA schedule, and I don't want to bore you with it by looking at it, but I've taken some time on this. There's about 10 different weeks a year in where it's obvious a team could play 4 games in a week. The opening weeks of October, you never do it. Then you get into November, and the Jazz, for example, in that first week of November, played 4 games in that week. And then the Jazz don't really play 4 games again because you're avoiding Thanksgiving and you're doing stuff. And then that next week of November, December is a 4-week game. And then we have the NBA Cup, so you don't. And then you come back out in the December week. A lot of teams play 4 games. I would propose, and then in January, you start playing 4 games all the time. It's insane. Like the Jazz from January 22nd to January 24th played 12 games. That's insane. There's no way human bodies can do that. And then we played 4 games in the first week of February. You have All-Star break. You're not going to have it again. And then in March, we start to do it again, where we play 4 games every week, weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, March. So there's little windows where I would propose that in all of those 12 weeks in which we have a possibility of having 4 games, that if you play on Tuesday or Wednesday, it's an understudy game. I don't know exactly how to define understudy. Maybe any player averaging over 29 minutes a night does not play. May not even be eligible. Make it so they can't play. But those are nights off. That you, on those Tuesday or Wednesday nights, if you buy a ticket, it's 5 home games, probably 5 road by the time it's done, you kind of know you're getting some of the young players. But maybe you're getting Ace Bailey for 30. We'd have to build, I don't have it zeroed in as well on exactly what the number of games or the qualification of what defines an understudy. It would have to be years in the league, minutes played, something like that. So Ace Bailey is a rookie, probably plays that game. It would lead that you're asking your best players to play 70 games a year. There's probably 10 or 12 understudy weeks. If I've done my math right, it also would get to the point where each team would only play the Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry's, would only play 5 back-to-backs all season long. Now, I also think you could adjust the schedule to make your back-to-backs be Monday, Tuesdays, or Wednesday, Thursdays, where one of the 2 back-to-backs is an understudy game. We have 18-man rosters. We should be using all of the 18-man roster. And the understudy would have to be somehow equally distributed so that every team's 2 or 3 or 4 best players just don't play that night. And then you get awarded for depth. Maybe an understudy game counts less. I don't know. It's a radical idea that needs some help, but I actually think there's something there. I don't understand. I was talking to Kerr about it last night. He says this is not totally it, but in soccer, they have all their little different Champions Leagues going on. And so certain games have different value, and you end up not, certain guys, it's kind of known that Mape is not going to play a certain game. I think we should get there. Then you're suddenly, if you kind of look at the Jazz schedule as an example, I know this is kind of out there, but in November, we played Charlotte, Boston on Sunday, Monday, Detroit on Wednesday, and Minnesota on Friday. So that could be one of our back-to-backs where we play Charlotte Monday, and then Wednesday's the understudy game. And the guys are off for 3 days, and then they play Minnesota on Monday. The next week would be an understudy week because you can play 4 games that week. We just didn't happen in November. We didn't happen to. And the Wednesday, we play it Monday, Tuesday back-to-back, and then Tuesday becomes the understudy game. And it's not a back-to-back. You go into January, which is ridiculous. We played at Portland, at Oklahoma City, came home to play Dallas, and then played home against Charlotte. So instead, the Stars would play at Portland, at Oklahoma City, would be an off night. That would be an understudy game. Maybe they even go home. Then come back to play home against Dallas and Charlotte. They play 3 games in 7 days instead of 4. It's a big difference. We're playing 105 possessions a night. We're already making the guys every 8 games play another game. And so basically I'm saying that 70 games today is the same as 80 in the past. It's the same math. The next week, we're in Cleveland, at Chicago, at Dallas, on a back-to-back at Dallas. So the Wednesday game's an understudy game. So you play at Cleveland. Wednesday's the understudy game at Chicago. Dallas is a back-to-back. The guys are fresh. They go to Dallas. The game's better. The next week, we played at San Antonio. Tuesday, we were home against Minnesota. That's an understudy game. The top guys play at San Antonio on Monday. They get Tuesday off. They play Thursday. They get 2 days off to rest. And then they play Saturday against Miami. The next week probably be an understudy week. We only played 3 games, but that Wednesday game's an understudy game, and our guys only played 2 games that week. And now they're fresh. I've got to think injuries would be down. We still play 82. It gets really interesting if you build your roster, knowing you're going to have 10 understudy games, and making sure you have enough depth. I think there's really something to it, actually. I know it sounds crazy. You probably think it's absurd. I actually think it's really interesting how you build your roster if you know you're suddenly playing understudy games for 10 or 12 games a year. It's 15% of your games. Makes those players a little more important. Gives those players an opportunity. I don't know. Give me your thoughts. Throw it in the YouTube chat. Send it to me on Twitter. I think that, and I think as a fan, you know if you're buying a Tuesday or Wednesday ticket, it's an understudy game. You're not seeing the Stars on those nights. But you are more certain you're going to see the Stars if you're coming on a Monday night, on a Friday night, on a Saturday night, or a Sunday night, or a Thursday night. I think it helps. I don't think it's going to happen. There's other proposals out there. Austin Ainge has one. Maybe I'll bring him on the show to do it at some point. But that's my theory. Keep 82. I have some other little weird things I would do, but that's if I was commissioner. That's my answer. Late game watch, maybe the best game of the year last night. Oklahoma City, Denver next. A little daunting as the Jazz try to break through next year on the Utah Jazz. Watching that one. We'll do it next on Locked On Jazz. It's tax season, and taxes should not rule your life. We don't want that to happen. That's no fun. So it's time for you to get going with TurboTax. Tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert. Your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. TurboTax Experts works to get your every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's a relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. That's TurboTax.com/local. FanDuel.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball playoff boosts. That's right. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn your energy into even bigger potential wins with college basketball parlay profit boosts. Nonstop games, West Coast, late nights. You can build any college basketball hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your need. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out, and then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Look at the odds, figure out what you want to do, go safe, go bold, ride with your team you've been following them all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with the most upside behind it. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Play your game at FanDuel.com. So late game watch, we haven't been doing much this year, but I had to do it last night with Oklahoma City, Denver, one of the best games of the year. Incredible fourth quarter. A lot of takeaways. So, Shai and Jokic were incredible. Shai is the best player in the world right now. I think he surpassed Jokic his last 4 games. The thing that jumps out to me the most, Denver was playing kind of a zone, trappy zone, and Shai never turns it over. I mean, he is primed to make turnovers. They're doubling him. He's getting off the ball, and at the same time, when he needs to make a play, he's hitting 2 dagger 3 step backs. It's 4 games in a row, basically, that he's done that. But Denver was doing some really interesting things with zone. Playing kind of 2 guys up front, building a wall, midi put on the floor, then it would turn into a double. Some really interesting, and then rotate out of it. Watching Denver play Oklahoma City as much as they've played him, it was interesting. So there's a guy on the ball, there's a guy shading, and then the minute Shai makes his move, then they double. So they're catching him really at the most vulnerable moment, and he doesn't ever turn it over. It's pretty wild. The other one, Oklahoma City wins this game without Chet Holmgren, without Isaiah Hartenstein, without Alex Caruso, and without Jalen Williams. So Jared McCain, who they just acquired from Philadelphia, makes 2 monster threes in this game. I loved him out of college for his ability to slide, move, get open, be available, understand the movements of the game. He is a perfect Oklahoma City player. Their ability with A.J. Mitchell and Jared McCain just to tap into things right now is awesome. Jokic and Murray were still great. They're playing their 2-man game. But something is strange about Denver this year, that they're just – it might be on the defensive end. I mean, offensively, I think they did convert pretty much every time down, and then they had the massive 4-point plays that you may have seen, and there's the Dort foul late in that game that's weird. He's dirty. Like, there's just no other way to say it. I got to give Chris Fisher, the play-by-play announcer of the Oklahoma City Thunder, really a lot of credit. I watched their broadcast. Michael Cage was losing it, trying to claim that wasn't a flagrant foul, that he didn't hit him in the face, that he totally faked it, that he didn't even hit him. And Chris just held his own and was like, no, he actually hit him. And he was completely awesome. I was super impressed. I wanted to shout out that on a late game watch. I mean, it's interesting if you look at the fourth quarter stats in this game. Denver only shoots 42%, but they make 5-11 from 3. Oklahoma City shoots 52%. You go to the final 5 minutes of this game, which is, I watched the final 9 for my late game watch, and Denver's, it's 109-107. Denver's up 2, and they just go back and forth. But Oklahoma City goes up not 7 at one point right away when Denver just doesn't convert. Like, that's the stretch. All this other stuff we're going to talk about. But Aaron Gordon, who drives hard to the basket, kind of out of control and gets blocked. Jamal Murray misses 1 of 2, I think makes 2 free throws, but then the next time Murray just misses a shot. Then Christian Brown gets a kick out, doesn't make the shot. If I remember correctly, Aaron Gordon misses again. And all of a sudden they're down 8 because McCain hits 1 or 2 threes. And I think it's a defensive issue as much as anything for Denver late in games right now, that they're not, but it doesn't feel like they're converting quite as dominantly with Jokic and Murray as they once did. And it just, they're going to be fascinating in the playoffs. They're so good. Cameron Johnson's not all they hoped he was going to be, but they're so loaded. They're so good. Tim Hardaway made 8 threes and they didn't win. And yet I just don't have a feeling that they've got the cohesion that they need to have to be able to put this thing together. That's where I am on Denver right now. And I picked them to win it when the year started. But the amount of injuries, talking to David Adelman, what they have to bring back together, they're kind of back Peyton Watson. They're worth watching. These are really important 15, 18 games for Denver. But Oklahoma City last night, that was a statement. One, that Shai's that great. Two, that they have that kind of depth that they can hold that off. And three, Jalen Williams, their third big, was able to kind of have a pretty good night against Jokic, understanding Jokic's defensive weaknesses, scoring at the rim when Hartenstein and Holmgren didn't play. What a game, though. As good as the league's had. By the way, to all the tanking conversations, these are the games that matter to the NBA right now. Like Memphis, Brooklyn, Jazz Warriors last night, they're just on the schedule. Now, is there a way on the redoing of the NBA to make every game matter a little bit more? There are some proposals out there that are interesting in that regard. That is Locked On Jazz. We'll continue kind of the fix the NBA conversation as we continue. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to follow me on socials, it's DLock09. If you'd like to be a part of our Everyday or All Access Club, it's supercast.com, lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Right now, we send you the first ever national 24/7 channel on YouTube, Locked On NBA, and on audio. Check out Locked On NBA Game Night Plus. Check out the Big 3 in 30.